There's always new trends happening. Like 6 months ago, Instagram Reels were the number one thing that they were pushing out, but now they're back to more static carousels. So it's knowing your audience, but also like understanding the algorithm, but no one really understands the algorithm until so it's a back and forth thing of trial and error.
You're listening to Build Up, a ZGM podcast. I'm Selena.
And I'm Jordan. And we're here to shake up the world of home builder marketing.
Hi, Selena.
Hey, Jordan.
So who do we have on today's show?
Today we have two fabulous guests. We have Katie Samycia. She's the digital marketing coordinator at Cantiro, and Rebecca Walkemeyer. She's the marketing manager at Cantiro. Cantiro is a Canadian real estate developer, home builder. They do a lot of commercial, multifamily, and they're in Alberta, BC, and Ontario. So, big company. They have lots to say.
Fantastic. And then what are we talking about?
Our episode is about social media and brand and how they come together to create something beautiful.
Imagine that this episode would tie social media and brand together.
I know. A little bit more brand talk, of course.
All right, let's go.
Let's go. Hey, Katie. Hey, Rebecca. Thanks for joining us today.
Hello.
Hi.
So to kick things off, how we would like to kind of get into the space is talking about how you approach your social media strategy and implementing your brand, because sometimes it's like a big kind of thing to do, but like, how do you dive in? What are your first steps when you're kind of approaching building your strategy on social?
So I think one of the things that we talked about was kind of taking a step back on where our brand platform came from. We are an integrated company running from homes, development, rental, and commercial. And our team supports all of our divisions. So back in 2020, your team assisted with the rebrand. We amalgamated all of the small businesses under that umbrella into Cantiro. And what happened was that brought over 20 social profiles, different digital presence, identities under Cantiro.
Jeez.
And a lot of the stuff that we post nowadays, we work towards having our communities represented under Cantiro communities, all of our home stuff represented under the homes umbrella. And I think while each community has its own identity, the one thing that we always circle back on is our purpose. So at Cantiro brand purpose, we create environments for amazing lives to happen. A lot of every decision, every post we do, everything that we do when it comes to our paid advertising, the organic stuff is all representative and all working towards how we make those environments for those amazing lives to happen.
Going back to purpose is something that we always talk about.
I love that you brought that up, completely unprompted or provoked by us. So when you're looking at the social strategy messaging, how do you use the purpose to influence your direction, or what sort of inspiration does it give?
So at Cantiro, we have our 4 pillars that we really base our social strategy based on. So we're innovators, we're entrepreneurial, we're doing the right thing, and we're passionate. So everything that we base our posts on, regardless of the platform, we really have to look at our strategy and say, does it hit any of those 4 pillars? And if it does, then we can move forward with those posts. And if it doesn't, then we know we shouldn't prioritize those things. So
that's fantastic.
That's so awesome. It's like your little check, your checklist. So that's fantastic. And I know often there's when you're building social strategies, you have those content buckets or, whatever. So using your values as a way to kind of structure your buckets is wonderful.
Yeah, and also validate messaging. That's so keeping it on brand by making sure it fits within one of those pillars. And if it doesn't, then probably doesn't belong.
I have a question about, when you're actually looking at, okay, is this like more brand kind of language or like high level messaging on organic versus like sales driven messaging? And, is there a balance that you try to, set every like month, or is it just like, you have a focus on more brand or more sales?
Yeah, I think like in the beginning, when Cantiro amalgamated in 2020 from the different divisions to Cantiro, it took us a while to kind of define our personality, our brand language, and like who we were. We kind of had to reintroduce ourselves again under a new name and really put our best foot forward in who we were and why you should invest in one of our homes and why you should build in one of our communities. So trying to balance, at the end of the day, we are selling homes, but trying to still be genuine and coming back to our roots of like who we are and why you should invest in our homes. So we've launched this year a new series called the Cantiro Difference. And so that's really like trying to differentiate ourselves from our competitors. So like what goes beyond the walls and why we invest in the products that we use and why we invest in the partnerships that we have. And so, having a balance between showing how we are as a builder to, again, under those four main pillars and still trying to sell homes, but being genuine at the same time is something we work towards every day.
Amazing.
What do you find is like content that performs the best for you?
People love people.
People love people. Tell me more about people. Like what kind of people?
Our best performing posts are with people in them. So anytime that we have our sales team show up on our social, anytime we have our construction team, our customer care team, even Cantiro staff, those are our posts that perform the most. It definitely creates a sense of, as soon as you see a face, you automatically feel more like you can trust in that brand versus just showcasing our beautiful homes. Because although our homes they're beautiful and they're functional and they're all elevated with design, you really are investing in the product and in the people that you get to work with.
Being able to showcase the people behind the brand, behind that organization, just adds that level of trust and like helps people create that affinity with Cantiro.
I love that you talked about your sales team. Mm-hmm. And I feel like this is probably a universal maybe struggle or just like an obstacle that sometimes happens is getting like your team and sales team engaged in developing content and participating really. Do you have any like tips or strategies or things that worked really well to help you? Because you truly do it really well. And that's one of the reasons why you're here today, because we love how you do it.
So actually, our sales team are seriously rock stars when they work towards all of their social postings, building their personal brand online. They have done a lot of training on how to represent not only themselves, but also our Cantiro brand. And then part of that, building that personal brand, is sharing posts that align with our value proposition, relationship building, community awareness, product availability. And what Katie mentioned was being able to see the people behind that brand or that organization adds that added level of trust. So, one of the great things that comes out of our team being so engaged on social media on their own platforms is that when people walk into our sales center, they come to one of our show homes, they know that person behind the desk. Yeah. And it opens up that channel of trust, which is incredible because your home purchase is your biggest purchase you're going to make in your life. Yeah.
We also host monthly sales team training sessions. So like social media is always evolving. Like when I started at Cantiro, Instagram Reels weren't even a thing, right? So as my job, I have to be educated and be the expert for social and to relay that message to our sales team so that they can be, up to date with what's going on. And there's always new trends happening. Like 6 months ago, Instagram Reels were the number one thing that they were pushing out, but now they're back to more static carousels. So it's knowing your audience, but also like understanding the algorithm, but no one really understands the algorithm until like, so it's a back and forth thing of trial and error, I guess.
So you do monthly training with your sales team. That's incredible. Did they like it?
It definitely, again, we always say like, show up on your feed. And I feel like that's definitely been the number one thing that's been the hardest to do, because, you know, it's great to show what available homes we have, but at the end of the day, like we said, you have to show up and show your face, and that's how people will start to trust you, and that's why people will want to work with you. That's why people will want to buy a house from you. So that was a bit of a thing in the beginning, but now they're running with it.
Do you find that they do a good job of being on brand? Like, are they connecting back to Cantiro in a strong way, or are they sometimes going rogue and you're like, oh my gosh, rein it in?
It happens. But you can't say it can't when you're trying to manage a team of 5 or 6 area managers, right? Like
because at the end of the day, it's their personality too, and it's the way that they speak and the way that they present themselves, but they're still under the Cantiro umbrella. So you don't want to have a leash on too tight with that, because you also want them to have the flexibility and freedom to feel like they can say what they want to say, but within a professional setting, I guess.
Maybe monitoring is too strong of a word, but you are sort of like paying attention to what they're posting and
exactly
maybe providing feedback.
Yeah, and we definitely do, like, we have feedback during our training sessions. You know, these are the posts that we saw performed really well on your insights. Continue to do that. This is the stuff that, you know, your viewers weren't really engaging with. Maybe we'll pivot from that. So it's they know how to look at their insights. They know how to, you know, comments, shares, likes, saves, like everything. So it's something you have to pay attention to.
I love that, especially the education piece, because I think there's a lot of like apprehension and maybe nervousness of being out there on social media and building content. But if you're there guiding them and doing these monthly sessions, like eventually you're going to feel more comfortable. So that's really great.
It really takes the fourth wall away from like, I come from an arts background, and so, you know, when you're watching a movie, you feel like you're a part of the movie because the actors bring you into it. So it's really taking that fourth wall away from, again, social media. It's not a very intimate thing, but you feel like you're a part of it and know that person, trust that person if they're willing to let you in. So
your sales team or sales managers are like your brand ambassadors and your influencers. Really is like what I'm hearing, and I love that. That's such a smart way to approach it.
What does sort of your agenda look like? Like, what is on a monthly basis? Like, what are you going through with the team?
We usually talk about things that we've accomplished in the previous month, and then also showcase what do we have coming up, what are some of the tools and the materials that are coming out that are planned for that you can also utilize on your platform and reshare. So, maybe we're going to be in a magazine article, you can reshare that on your platform, or we're planning a blog, we're planning around like promos or e-blasts, and that way they can also plan their content so that it's more streamlined with what we're doing on an overarching homes perspective to each of their platforms.
Yeah, and they also set their own goals. So I want to post 4 a month, or I want to post however, whatever. And so that keeps them on track. And if they're not reaching those goals, okay, well, what can we do to like support you? Can we meet you at the show home? Can we take some new content? There's a holidays coming up. Like, what can we do for that? Or there's a new promo. Like, how can we support you? So lots of communication between our sales and marketing team.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good.
Communication and collaboration. That's so nice. I love that. So the social space is huge. And like you were saying, Katie, it's ever changing and there's new things coming up and new things disappearing on the regular.
And then coming back.
And it's like, wait a second. Do you have like a strategy or a way of going about deciding where you need to be? Like, what social platforms should you be on? There's a lot. And like, sometimes it's hard to be everywhere. So how would you maybe give some advice to where to be and how to decide where to be?
So we are on 4 platforms right now, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and LinkedIn. So we put in Facebook and Instagram kind of in the same bucket a little bit. Pinterest is very visual, very inspirational. We can align a lot of the posts that we put on there with our Life Collection homes and our 6 interior styles and how you can decorate makes it very inspirational. Facebook, Instagram, more authentic space. You can have more interaction on there. You're replying to comments, likes, shares. You can have different types of content on there. You can have engagement pieces like your polls and stuff, which is really great. And then LinkedIn shifts that again from B2B. So all of the language still, being Cantiro and focusing on us as a business, but communicating to different audiences on different platforms. So the one thing to consider, and you focus on the home building piece, but once again, integrated organization, 4 divisions under that umbrella. So, LinkedIn is a big one for us sharing a lot of that corporate initiatives. And then, we kind of decide based on what's going to be relevant to a home building audience to put that on the homes channel and so on and so forth.
Do you, TikTok is big. Everybody talks about TikTok. I know even sometimes with our conversations with different clients, it's like, we want to be on TikTok. Should we be on TikTok? So you're not currently on that, on that channel. Is there a reason why you're not?
Yeah, so actually Rebecca and I had a conversation about this before. And so we are on TikTok as Cantiro Homes. And we launched this, I think, just when TikTok was released. So I think we're going to look into TikTok a little bit more into 2024. Again, those that are on TikTok, or a majority, I can't speak for all, but a majority of those are definitely a younger demographic. It's very quick, fast-paced, 6-second videos. Sometimes it's hard for us to showcase our entire breadth and depth of our product within that 6 seconds, but never say never. I think TikTok is something that we should definitely continue to explore. Those that are on TikTok in 5 years, they might be ready to buy a home. Right. So I don't think we can, it's an avenue of 2024 we're going to be exploring.
Yeah, obviously it's such a big space and a growing space, and there's going to be new stuff that comes up, like Threads just came out, and then there's X, and there's all these different spaces. It's just hard sometimes to be like, do you go everywhere?
Yeah.
Or do you wait? I like that you're, really strategic and this is where we're going to see the biggest impact right now. We could focus on these versus spreading ourselves too thin.
Yeah, exactly. We invest so much time in social media within the 4 accounts that we already have, and so it's just another dimension of and another audience to definitely tackle. But something we'll have to be strategic about for next year.
So Pinterest is an awesome one, and I don't even know how many home builders are on Pinterest, but it totally feels like it makes sense. What have you sort of seen as some successes, some things that are working really well, and why you keep going back to Pinterest? Yeah,
there's actually not that many home builders on Pinterest, because as I was doing an evaluation, I couldn't find that many people on. And I think I love Pinterest. It's you either love it or you just don't use it.
I don't even understand it.
Yeah.
Like me.
Yeah. But I go to Pinterest anytime I'm looking for inspiration for again, I love interior design. So anytime I'm looking for inspiration to update my room, or I don't know, something like that, or even pull a recipe or something like that, or crafts or how-tos, number one, I go to Pinterest. And so even though we're not in the DIY business for Cantiro Homes specifically, it's still an avenue that people are going for inspiration. They aspire for their rooms to look in that way. And it's so visual. And our homes are just so beautiful. Why wouldn't we be on that platform?
Yeah.
I think too, it's valuable for people who are shopping for a Cantiro home and how, their home may be able to look, and also valuable for our homeowners. So, if you have a Life Collection home that is a specific designer feel, then you can create that interior space that aligns with what we're showing.
I know Pinterest too, it helps a lot with search. So there's a lot of extra value of using that platform well, and it will help you in other ways too. And coming up on, if somebody's searching for a new home on Google, the Pinterest thing will come up.
Totally.
So.
We've also we've been introducing more towards our interior styles. seasonality, and incorporating like our design team. So how to outfit your home for the holidays, or how to outfit your home for Thanksgiving or whatnot. And so like those are perfect content pieces that we've been putting on Pinterest. So again, if you need some inspiration for the holidays, like come to Pinterest and look at our feed or whatever. Or another way to look at it, like you're looking at your house, maybe you don't have the energy to renovate it. So why not buy a new house, right?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
I love that you're positioning yourself too as like an expert to look to, and just because maybe it's somebody bought a home from Cantiro, you're still thinking about them too. They're still a customer of yours, and thinking about them and helping them design or decorate for Christmas or the holidays is really smart. We're going to talk about your toolkit, Katie. That sounds like a show.
Katie's toolkit.
Katie's toolkit. Do you have any favorite kind of programs you use to help you?
Sure. Right now, so all of our publishing, like the platform that we use to publish all our posts, we've used Sprout. So they give us a nice calendar. You can pull all your insights directly from that. They added LinkedIn, like you can literally any platform that you want, you can publish through their Sprout platform. And we've just always been using that. Canva is my number one tool that I've been using this year. It's like our new interior or our new graphic design toolkit that you don't necessarily always have to go external to produce those kind of content pieces. We've been doing that in-house a little bit. Not all of our stuff, but just a little bit, especially for social media. It's just, there's templates galore that you can like explore, super user-friendly. Our sales team even has access to Canva, and it's just another way to elevate your social media.
I think one of the things we do, we upload our brand kit so that all of the users under our team are utilizing all of the exact same fonts, colors, templates, and that helps enable a lot of consistency.
That's so awesome.
Isn't that so great? Mm-hmm. Canva is fabulous, and especially like all the new upgrades and like their AI integrations that they have are so cool. But because Cantiro has such a strong brand and brand expression, it's so solid. That's like so wonderful that you could just have these efficiencies of not always, needing to use an external resource to help you build something. You have your solid kind of brand expression and you inject that into Canva, which is great.
Yeah, especially with social media, because you can have a little more fun and trial and error between, reels and yeah, it's just, again, it's so user friendly. I love it.
I wanted to ask this is kind of maybe a fun question. So any kind of content that you found surprising, both or either, in that it overperformed expectations or underperformed expectations?
I kind of hit this point before, but yeah, all of our posts that perform the best have always been with people in them. So we launched a couple months ago. It's the series called Favorite Features, and it has our sales team in them. And they go through their show home and they point out favorite features that maybe you wouldn't necessarily like really notice when you're first walking in our show homes. And people love them. It's like definitely something that, again, it's just another personal experience, taking away that fourth wall again, having them walk through the show home with you. You can be at home watching it and you'll be like, oh, I like that feature too. So that was something that it was just a series that we started a couple months ago. Anything that is a little bit nitty gritty, maybe not so beautiful. Instagram is just such a visual platform. And so anytime we really hit some construction, it's not always the best performing.
Yeah. For like prospects and home buyers, they have a difficult time envisioning what a home in a space is going to look like while it's under construction. And even when it's finished and not outfitted with furniture.
And renders, I always find anytime we post renders, there's nothing personal about it. Although you want to paint the picture, and it's sometimes hard when your show home doesn't open for 6 months, but you have a render of it and you still want to highlight it. Those, it's just, people can tell when they know when it's not real. And so
that's interesting. And also it's a visual platform, especially when you think about like Instagram, and people like the beautiful, dreamy
Yeah.
photos. So it makes sense. Do you have a favorite or like a very memorable social campaign or social post that you've seen recently that kind of sticks in your head and is like, oh, that was so good?
Barbie comes to mind because
Yeah.
it was just all the rage over summer and it's still out there. And they must have had an astronomical budget for that
Seriously,
movie.
yeah.
Doing the integration with like the real songs and all of their branding throughout different visuals and just getting their audience involved and dressing in pink, and it was just all the rage this summer.
It was truly.
And they had so many like licensing agreements with so many different like products and like spaces and industries that like it was everywhere and it was all over social. That's a really good one.
One that comes to mind, and you either love them or hate them, but as Skims, so Kim Kardashian with the Swarovski, she like outfitted taxis in New York to be chrome silver with like the crystals everywhere, and they were rolling through Times Square, and just like it was crazy.
Over the top.
Yes, very.
But so good for pictures.
Totally. It reminded me of like Barbie over the top. Just like I remember they had pink taxis for the Barbie like premiere and stuff like that. I don't know why I keep coming back to taxis, but it's just like it was just crazy. Yeah.
There's the like big takeaway: be over the top.
Maximalist on social.
I want to kind of wrap up with a question and ask what you both see as trends or directions, or like what's going to happen in the future, 2024 for social media. And what are some of the things that you're looking towards and getting excited about?
So we've started to integrate a little bit and experimenting with ChatGPT. Not necessarily to like craft our posts like word for word, but it's definitely been a good starting point for us. ChatGPT doesn't understand your personality, doesn't understand your brand language. It comes off a little ingenuine. It's very straightforward, but it's definitely a good starting place that we've been looking at. Again, with AI tools, we've been utilizing them a little bit within our like Photoshop skills and whatnot. And then I know video marketing is not a new trend or a new thing, but trying to, again, incorporate that into our 2024 strategy. So capturing video and experimenting on YouTube and Pinterest and maybe TikTok.
Ooh. I've been hearing a lot, and like from last year and the last couple of years, that like millennial and Gen Z are going to social media pages for a brand before they go to a website. So are you seeing that? If you have data on that, I'd love to know. And because of that, do you feel that like brands or organizations, companies need to be really focused on making sure that they're giving the most important information on their like social channel, and like website is not, it's still important, but maybe not as important as maybe their social channel?
Yeah, I totally agree with all of that. Like, I know we've had some recent hires at Cantiro, and their first impression of us was on our social media. And as soon as they saw our Instagram specifically is curated, but it has personality, and we have a face to our brand, and they wanted to work at Cantiro because they were inspired by our social media and how professional it was, I guess. So they're becoming familiar with you through your Instagram. It's just like or through your social media. It's an easier way to connect with you. You can direct message someone. You can ask them questions directly in the comments. I don't know. It's just another way to connect with someone. So
I love that.
We also run social ads. And so when people are within our target audience are getting served these bottom funnel activation ads, they click through either to our website or they research more on our social profiles. So, making sure that we have alignment between what we're putting out there in terms of media and our organic feed, and then also tailoring that back to what's on the website. Are you going to continue that story and that customer experience or that journey through to submitting a form and booking an appointment, visiting a show home?
Consistency. Love it. I think that's it.
That's great.
Thank you so much.
thank you.
Well, that was a really fun conversation. I really enjoyed speaking to Katie and Rebecca about brand and how brand ties into social. And I think that Obviously, the reason we had them on the show was because they do social in a really interesting way, and they integrate with their sales teams and with so many different channels and so many different unique things that tie back to their brand, and they use their brand as that checklist. And I think that's really interesting. So I thought it was a great conversation about it.
It was a really good conversation, and it's such a big space, social media, and it's like, I feel like a lot of people are nervous to like do social media or kind of take it over, and sometimes they just don't even do it because
overwhelmed by it.
it's too much. And like exactly what you said, their team does it so well, and it's, you know, I'm so happy that they chatted with us a bit about it today.
Yeah. All right, takeaways. Do you have one?
Ooh, could I start?
Yeah, I guess so. It better not be mine though.
Okay, I have like 3.
Okay.
So, okay, the biggest thing for me, and I'm so glad that we chatted about this with them, is that social media should be thought of as something bigger. It is like a mini website. You know, people that are first learning about your brand, especially millennials and Gen Z, they're coming to your social media page, whether it's Instagram or Facebook, likely Instagram, when they're first hearing about you. So this is your first impression. And I loved how Katie was talking about that, and actually had the example of a lot of their new employees decided to work with Cantiro or, you know, apply with Cantiro because they went on Instagram and they were like, oh, look at this professional, consistent company.
She's seeing it in action.
Yeah, she's seeing it. So for me, it's just, you know, being mindful that, you know, social media is actually can be used as like a mini site for you, and you know, making sure you're putting your best foot forward and the most important information that you would have on your web page, homepage, on your social media page.
Yeah, that's good. My takeaway is in the conversation, we were talking about the content that they felt really works really well, the materials that work really well, and how they're integrating their sales team and, you know, people and all that. To me, it really hit home the point that social media should be social. Like, it should be about human beings. It should be about relationships. It should be about conversations. And I think that they hit on that, and that's what they're doing. But it's just such an important, like, use the channel for what it's used for. Don't just be like spouting corporate communications or spouting product or sales or blah, blah, blah. Like, that's not why people are on social media. People are on social media because they want to be social. They want to engage. They want to have conversations and see what's happening and see people. And I think that that's exactly what Cantiro is doing. It's working really well. And it's because they're using the channels for what they're meant to be used for, being social.
Yeah. And they're so smart in how they're using their sales team to be social.
So smart.
Like creating like brand ambassadors and training
Absolutely.
them. That was my other takeaway. It was hard for me to choose, so I'm just going to add to your
We're just
takeaway.
going to go into another takeaway from
But
Selena.
honestly, like truly, it's like look at your team and use your team and educate your team and let them be armed with the right tools
For sure.
to help you build your social.
I love how they're using their brand to do that. The like checklist on the pillars and going back to their purpose, and phenomenal.
Yeah, your pillars being like your content buckets. So smart.
Yeah.
That's a good tip.
Amazing. All right. That's it for social media and brand.
For now, thanks.
See you
Bye.
next time. This has been Build Up, a ZGM podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate and subscribe on your favorite listening app. Thanks to Shelby, our editor and producer, Scott for our original music, and you for listening along. Be sure to follow us on your favorite social platform at Build Up Podcast.